You're listening to RTFM, the podcast where electronic music artist dolltr reads the friendly manual. Each episode will explore different pieces of literature, including user guides, manuals, and appendices created by music product manufacturers for their users and fans around the world. I'm your host, dolltr. So today we're going to take a look at one of my favorite plugins that's not created by an actual digital audio workstation company, but it's from a third-party, quote-unquote, company called iZotope. That's spelled iZotope for anyone who hasn't heard of them. And we're going to take a look at one of my favorite iZotope products, which is called VocalSynth, specifically VocalSynth 2, which is the latest iteration of VocalSynth that iZotope has developed. We're going to combine two parts of the iZotope literature today. We're going to take the introduction from the original VocalSynth manual, but we're also going to look at the actual online VocalSynth 2 documentation. So let's get started. What is VocalSynth? Overview. Ready for a transformative vocal experience? With VocalSynth, the iconic vocal sounds you've heard from decades past and the wild vocal sounds you've only heard in your head are finally within reach. Shape and manipulate your voice to create electronic vocal textures, robot sounds, computerized harmonies, vocoder, and talkbox effects, thick octaves or doubles, and everything in between. Complex, interesting, and unique vocal effects have driven hit songs and launched careers. It's time for your vocals to stand out too. Explore 4 resynthesis engines within a single plugin, or if you're using VocalSynth 2, 5 resynthesis engines: vocoder, talkbox, polyvox, compuvox, and biovox, along with expressive vocal effects and simple, high-impact controls. Push your vocals beyond the limits with VocalSynth. Think outside the Vox. That's really why I wanted to read it, just because of that line. Design philosophy. If that was the elevator pitch, this is why we did what we did. iZotopians, now a word, are a dedicated, passionate crew of musicians, producers, and performers. Our musical output covers many genres, from EDM pop, rock, metal, hardcore, folk, jazz, hip-hop, slam poetry, and gamelan, and can be found in the farthest, darkest corners of the internet, with the occasional Billboard and Beatport successes. It was this slightly selfish enthusiasm for music production that inspired us to design and build ourselves tools to achieve better sounding, more exciting, and original results in our own vocal production work. The vision that became VocalSynth started life as a playlist on generic music service, insert name here, in which we compiled songs we loved and felt were defined by signature vocal processing. What transpired was a large collection of songs spanning several decades, many genres, and almost every vocal production trick in the book. We kept asking ourselves, what would we need to build to get sound X, Y, or Z? We had some fun experiments too, some over lunch involving plastic straws, duct tape, speakers, small portable synths, and other extracurricular activities, resulting in some pretty wacky early prototypes in Max MSP. With the help of an incredible crew of vocal producers, we distilled what we earnestly hope is the most powerful, yet simple and fun package of tools seen in a single vocal product, capable of going after any sound heard on the radio. During the development process, we were subject to many strange glances from friends and family, who could only hear the raw vocalizations and not the incredible audio processing being fed back via the headphones. If the same happens to you, just know you're not alone. So that was the introduction from the original VocalSynth manual, and now let's take a look at the documentation for VocalSynth 2. This documentation is available online, so not necessarily as a PDF, but it's web-based. So I highly encourage you to check it out as well if you are interested. In the meantime, this is the section that's called Global Modes from the iZotope VocalSynth 2 online documentation. Global Modes, Table of Contents, Overview, Changing Modes, Auto Mode, MIDI Mode, and sidechain mode. Overview. VocalSynth is designed to be inserted on a vocal track and offer different input modes to determine how it applies processing to your vocal. VocalSynth relies on two input signals to process a vocal, a modulator and a carrier input. Modulator. The modulator, voice or speech, is the audio from the track VocalSynth is inserted on. The modulator imparts spectral characteristics on the carrier signal. Now, what's the carrier signal? Carrier. The carrier signal takes on spectral characteristics of the modulator and is further modified by the processing parameters in the different modules. The carrier directly influences the processed wet output signal of VocalSynth. The source of the carrier signal is different depending on the global mode you have selected. Please see the mode descriptions below for more information. Changing modes. You can change the currently selected mode by clicking on the mode button in the top bar of the interface. In the mode selection screen, select a mode and click Accept to change the selected mode. You can exit the mode selection screen without changing modes by clicking the Cancel button. The following sections outline how the different global modes in VocalSynth 2 work. Auto mode. When auto mode is selected, the incoming audio serves as the source for the modulator and the carrier. VocalSynth listens to the incoming audio and detects pitch information based on the range selected in the pitch controls area. The pitch information it detects informs the notes played by the internal synth engine. The notes played by the synth can be further customized by adjusting the auto voice parameters in the voicing panel. No special configuration is needed to process your vocal in auto mode. As long as the vocal track VocalSynth is inserted on contains audio, you will hear the effect. Auto mode is ideal for adding textural effects to your vocal. Not a keyboard player? Not using MIDI in your session? Auto mode may be the best option for manipulating your vocal. MIDI mode. MIDI mode allows you to play harmonies into VocalSynth to create interesting vocal effects tailored to the musical structure of your song. When MIDI mode is selected, the modulator signal is the incoming audio from the track VocalSynth is inserted on. The carrier input is based on MIDI information from a connected MIDI keyboard or MIDI clip in your session. The MIDI notes received by VocalSynth tell the internal synth engine what notes to play. You can choose between mono or poly mode and adjust glide time amount for mono mode only in the voicing panel. Need help configuring MIDI mode? Configuring MIDI mode can vary depending on your DAW. For detailed setup instructions, check out the DAW setup chapter. Sidechain mode. Routing non-traditional sources, such as a guitar or a synthesizer, to the sidechain input of VocalSynth when operating in sidechain mode can create some interesting experimental sounds. Sidechain mode bypasses the internal synthesizers and routes the audio signal from the selected sidechain input into VocalSynth. The audio routed into VocalSynth's sidechain input will be modulated by your vocal track, allowing you to make any audio source talk. When sidechain mode is selected, the modulator signal is the incoming audio from the track VocalSynth is inserted on. The audio input from a configured sidechain source is treated as the carrier. Sidechain mode limitations. Not all VocalSynth features are available in sidechain mode. The following controls are disabled in sidechain mode. All controls in the module Advanced View Synth sections are disabled because the internal synth engine is disabled in this mode. All controls in the voicing section are disabled because the internal synth engine is disabled in this mode. The Polyvox module is disabled in sidechain mode. That's kind of sad because I like the Polyvox module a lot. Need help setting up sidechain mode? Configuring sidechain mode can vary depending on the DAW you are using. For detailed setup instructions, check out the DAW setup chapter. So that's all we have for today, and thank you everyone for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe to it, and you can also follow my work on various online platforms. I spell my name as DOLLTR exclamation point CK, and when exclamation points aren't allowed, I'm dolltr as in DOLLTRICK. My website is dolltr.com, and you can find me on Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, Twitter, Anchor for this podcast, and more. If you enjoy my content and would like to support my creations, you can find me on Patreon at patreon.com/dolltr. Or if you'd like to buy me a coffee, you can head over to ko-fi.com/dolltr because I love coffee. My original music is also available for download on Bandcamp at dolltr.bandcamp.com. And one last thing, in celebration of Women's History Month this March, I'm taking commissions for new music content. You can head over to dolltr.com/WHM for more information about how to commission a song for me, and all proceeds will be going to a New York-based Women Forward charity. Once again, thank you for tuning in, and have a lovely rest of the day. Dolltr.